Hey guys, welcome back to Steph's Fixation Station. Let's knit. So where I got up to at the end of my last episode was I had just cast on the back waistband of my jumper in 26 rows of rib. The next part of the jumper will be to start the pattern up the back. I'll insert a little picture of the pattern probably here, just so that you can see what I'm talking about. But the first thing that it says to do is to change my needles from the current 4mm needles that I'm using to 5mm needles. And now you will see that when I put the picture of the pattern on screen here, that it says 2.75mm needles and to switch to 3.75mm needles. And so you'll have to watch my previous video here to see how we got to 4mm and 5mm needles for this jumper. So let's jump right into the pattern. So a couple of things to notice straight off the bat. The first thing is this green strand of yarn that I've got running through here. This green stitch is what I call the Lifeline, and I've woven that into every single stitch in the first row of the pattern, so that if I make a mistake or if something goes wrong while I'm doing the next 14 rows, I don't have to rip out the full work or try and rip out individual rows. I can just rip back to the Lifeline and start again, and there's no issue. So for this part here, I've just finished the 14 rows along the top. So when I do my next row, I'm going to rip out this green line, and I'll show you how I do that, and put my Lifeline back in along the next row so that if anything happens, I can just rip back to that line. For the first row, I'll do 10 knit, purl 2, 14 knit, purl 2, 14 knit, purl 2, 14 knit, purl 2, all the way to the end where it'll be 10 knit on the other side. And that actually makes this pattern really easy to work out whether or not you're following the directions correctly, because every 16 stitches you'll come to 2 purl rows on the front and they are knit rows on the back. I can always make sure that I'm following the pattern correctly because these spines of knit row on the back or purl row on the front are really easy to follow. So if you ever feel like you're getting lost while you're going through this pattern, just make sure that you have 2 knit rows on the back or purl rows on the front, and you should be able to keep on track. You can see that the first step in the pattern appears to say knit 14, but that is not actually how many we're going to knit. So you can see in the brackets it says 9, 12, 15, 10, 13. That's because the knit 14 up the front is for a size A jumper. In the last video, we worked out that we were going to knit a size E jumper, so that would be the second last to the end. Instead of knitting 14, I'm going to knit 10. Then I'm going to move on to the pattern between the asterisk. So you can see it says asterisk, purl 2, knit 14, repeat from asterisk. That means that we're going to repeat purl 2, knit 14 until we reach the last repeat, which will be another 10 stitches. So when we get 10 from the end, we'll stop purling 2 and knitting 14 and knit last 10. So in total, we'll knit 10, purl 2 and knit 14, repeating until we get to the last 2 stitches, and then we'll knit to the end. And that will be our complete first row. Okay, so getting back, I've just finished the first row of our pattern, which is to knit 10, purl 2, knit 14, purl 2, knit 14, purl 2, knit 14, purl 2, and so on, all the way until the end, which is knit 10, right here on the end. And like I said to you, I'm about to rip out my Lifeline that was from my previous set of patterns, so those 14 rows, and I'm going to rethread it into the first row here so that if anything happens to my work now, I can rip back to this first row. And the reason I do it on the first row is because the first row of this pattern is just knitting and purling. It starts to get a little bit more complicated if you try and put a Lifeline into a row where you've been doing yarn overs or yarn forwards or making any kind of increase or decrease for an eyelet. And that's because the Lifeline isn't going to sit nicely in in that row. So it's a little bit easier and a little bit more functional to do it when it's just knits and purls. So technically you could do it either on the first row, which I'm about to do, or to do it on the second row, because the second row of this pattern is just basically the inverse of this first row here. So instead of knitting 10 and then purling 2, it's purling 10 and then knitting 2, then purling 14 and knitting 2. Take out the lifeline. All you need to do is just hold your lifeline in one hand, and then with the other hand keep a really good firm grip on your work and just pull it out like that. And there you go. So to thread the lifeline, what you're going to do is take a big tapestry needle like the one I've got here. I'm just going to pick one that looks good. Maybe this guy. And it's good to do your lifeline in a different color than the work you're using, obviously. I know it looks a bit jarring having the green here, but it's good to be able to see the difference between your lifeline and your actual working yarn. So when you're working on your project, you don't get confused about what you're actually knitting. So to thread the lifeline on, all I'm going to do is pull my work onto the cord part of my circular needles, and you can see that kind of makes a gap, and I'm just going to feed the big needle through there, and then periodically I'll pull it out. And you can see I'm not actually going into any stitches, it's just sitting in that row beneath the work, so it should be nice and loose. So if yours isn't loose, just make sure you're not accidentally cutting in between the yarn, you're not breaking that yarn open and knitting into the yarn or accidentally weaving your lifeline into the yarn. Otherwise you'll run into some problems when you try and pull it out, because it might cause your yarn to split. So you want to keep everything nice and loose, make sure everything's moving. You can give it a tug from the end and it's still going to stay in place. There we go. And there you go. You can see that I've weaved in my new lifeline, so that if I have any issues coming up, I'll be able to rip back to this part. Alright, so we're about to start row 2, so I'll just flip my work over. Like with row 1, it's all purls and knits, so pretty easy at this point. So we're going to purl 10, knit 2, purl 14, knit 2. And I'll come back to you at the end when that's done. And there you go, that's the end of row 2. You can see the lifeline is just sitting in there now, which is great. That means that it's doing its job, which means if we stuff up the pattern further up the work, we'll be able to pull back to there, so there's no worries. Now for this pattern, every odd row is different and every even row is the exact same as row 2. So what we just did there is what we'll do on every single even row from row 2 all the way to row 14. And it's a 14 row repeat pattern. So every even row is just going to be purl 10, knit 2, purl 14, knit 2, purl 14, knit 2, all the way to the end, and then purling 10. And that is because we are doing the size E jumper. The third row calls for knitting 2 at the end before we commence our pattern. Then the pattern will be knit 6, yarn 2 together, yarn round needle, purl 2, yarn over needle, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, then knit 4. And then we repeat that over and over again until we get to the last 4 stitches in the row and we knit the last 4 stitches. So I will show you the knit 2 and then do 1 of the repeats, and then I'll catch up with you when we're knitting 4 at the end. So we've knit 2. So knit 6, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then we're going to knit 2 together, yarn round needle into a purl 2, 1 and 2, yarn over needle into a slip, pass slip stitch over, there we go, into a knit 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And if you're having trouble with some of these techniques, I've just done a video on this channel which walks you through all of the different stitches that you need to know in order to be able to do this. So definitely worth having a look if you're getting a little bit confused with how I'm doing all of these stitches here. I'm not going to slow it down in this video because it's going to be long enough as it is already, but definitely go and watch that one if you'd like a little bit further explanation and a breakdown of how to do the increases and decreases. So that's the row 3 repeat. So I've just done 4 rows, and the 5th row calls for knit 2 at the start. Then our pattern repeat for this row is knit 5, knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 1, purl 2, knit 1, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, knit 3, and then repeat that until the last 4 stitches, and then we knit the last 4. So knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to knit 2 together, 1, 2, yarn forward, knit 1, then we're going to purl 2, 1 and 2, then we're going to knit 1, 1, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass that slip stitch over, and knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's row 5. So welcome back. I've just done row 6 after finishing the 5th row of pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we're about to start row 7. The pattern repeat is knit 4, knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 2 together, yarn round needle, purl 2, yarn over needle, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, knit 2, and then repeat again until the end, with the 4 stitches remaining at the end to be knit. Alright, so we've just finished row 8, and row 8 is a repeat of the 2nd row. So we're on to row 9. Now row 9 starts out the same way the other rows have started out. Knit 2 into the beginning of our repeat, and then knit 3, knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 1, purl 2, knit 1, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, knit 1, and then repeat that again. Knit 2 to kick off the row. 1 and 2. And then we're going to knit 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to yarn 2 together, yarn forward, then yarn 2 together, then yarn forward, knit 1, purl 2, 1, 2, then knit 1, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, we'll do that again, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, pass that slip stitch over, then knit 1. Okay, so we've just finished row 10 and we're about to start row 11. So the pattern for row 11 is to knit 2 to get yourself into the patterns. So once we've knitted 2, pattern repeats for the 11th row are to knit 2, then knit 2 together, yarn forward twice, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over twice, and then repeat that until the last 4 stitches. So I'm going to do that now. We're going to go ahead and knit 2. So 1 and 2, then knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 2, 2, purl 2, purl 2, knit another 2, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass that slip stitch over, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass that slip stitch over, and we're just going to continue in pattern until we have 4 stitches left. We'll knit the last 4 stitches, we'll do our even row, and then I'll meet you back here for the last row of the pattern, which is the 13th row. So as you can see, I have just finished row 11. We're nearly done with our pattern. You can see our beautiful V's popping out along the rows. So we're onto our last right side row, which is row 13. Like all our rows, we're going to start by knitting 2 to count in. So 1 and 2. And then the pattern repeat calls for knit 3, yarn 2 together, yarn forward, knit 3, purl 2, yarn 3, yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, knit 1, and then pattern repeat until there's 4 stitches remaining. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we've got knit 3, 3, then knit 2 together, yarn forward, knit 3, purl 2, knit 3, then yarn forward, slip 1, knit 1, pass that slip stitch over, then knit 1. And that is our pattern repeat, and there you go. That's it. I'll meet you back when I've done up to row 14, and I'll show you what our wheat pattern looks like when it's done. All right. Hey guys, welcome back. I've just completed the first 14 rows of pattern. So those 14 rows, they're going to repeat over and over again to make the pattern. And it's starting to look really good. You can see that that pattern is just starting to pop out along the back. I did have some teething issues. Some of the triangles look really, really good, really consistent, and then this one looks a little janky, but that's okay because it's at the back and it's at the bottom, so no one's really going to be looking at that. So the pattern says, continue in pattern until the work measures 32 centimeters, ending on a wrong side row. But the plan now is just to continue in the pattern, get up to the 32 centimeters, and I'll meet you guys back when I'm done with that. All right, so let's get stuck into it. Hey guys. Welcome back. I think I got up to at the end of filming last was I was going to film the 32 centimeters in pattern and come back to you, but we've come to the part of the video that is a bit of a fail. You probably saw from the footage I just showed of working through all of the patterns that I don't have stitch markers down the side anymore. And that is because basically it's not the same work. So, I mean, basically it's user error. And what I have to say is it's just become a bit of a fail. I'll intercut footage of this one here, but this was my original having a crack at the pattern, and I do not know what happened. Basically, the jumper just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I could see that I was like, that my eyelets were just getting really, really big, and I think what was happening was when I was yarning over and yarning backwards, I was like wrapping it around twice in some of these instances. So, but it just got like really out of hand. It's just looking goofy. This one really, it just looks goofy. Okay, if I had to say when I really lost faith in, or when I really lost confidence in this particular run at the pattern, I think it was probably looking at this. My little wheat patterns are looking a little bit demon mouthy, I have to say, just here. Yeah. Is it just me? They do kind of look like little demon faces with big smiley mouths. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, she needed some work. And you know what? It was good practice while I was doing it. But yeah, I think this one just needs to be pulled out and done again. At the end of the day, the reason I'm making a jumper is because I want to wear the jumper. So I just felt like this really became a bit of a fail and I had to start again. So I'm going to be unwinding this bit of work. All I have to say about this is knitting really is the trial and error. I mean, if you make a mistake, don't feel bad about going back. Don't feel bad about starting again. That is why I'm doing this beginner knitters series, just to show you all of the mistakes and all of the pitfalls I fall into. And it really just to show that it's not those beautiful patterns where you just knit everything and everything goes perfectly all the time. I want to show you the failures as well, and this really was a failure. I mean, the only saving grace of this is that it did teach me how to do the pattern properly. And I'll probably wind all of this yarn back onto a yarn bowl winder and just use it in the existing jumper, but it really has to go. It really was not looking good, and I wasn't going to wear it at the end. And if you're not going to wear it, what's the point, right? So feeling pretty dejected about the whole thing. However, in the meantime, I have actually done another version of the back of my jumper, and this is what we're looking like. And isn't she pretty? She looks great. So for me to get to the 32 centimeters in pattern, I actually did 6 repeats of the 14 row pattern, and that includes the rib. And so this is my new work. As I said, I've done 6 repeats of the pattern to get me to the full 32 centimeters. The way I'm measuring this is just by putting a tape measure from the bottom of the work all the way up to the top. And you can see that I'm starting at 0 down here, and if we go all the way to the top, I'm just at 32 centimeters there. So like I said, I managed to do 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pattern repeats to get the back looking like this. And starting over was totally worth it because look how pretty she's looking now. This is looking great. And definitely will wear this in the end once I actually get it finished. I definitely wouldn't have worn the other jumper, but I'm really, really pleased at how this is coming along. I'm about to start the raglan decreases for the arms, so that's going to be the next part that I get onto, but I just wanted to give you an update of where I was up to. And yeah, just show that everything doesn't always go to plan every single time. So hopefully when I get going next time, in my next video, I'll show you working through the raglan decreases for the back. So basically what that means is making the decreases in the back. You'll have your piece and then it starts to decrease as it goes towards the sleeves because the sleeves will sit over the top of that. So we'll get to that next time. Hope you enjoyed this one and thanks for watching, guys.